Anyway, remember, this was 7 weeks ago, and I gathered from what he said that it would probably go up another $1 before the summer is over, and then he said something so startling, Alec, that I am still sitting here shocked by what he said. He said, Chaplain Williams, the price of crude oil is going to $50 a barrel. My mind began running 1,000 miles an hour. $50 a barrel, first thing that came to my mind was, how are you going to do this? So he knows. I mean, there are certain people in the world who know what's going to happen tomorrow. They have already planned it. It's an agenda.
Lindsey Williams.
So what you're saying, outside of the natural forces that would normally dictate what oil and gasoline might do, other forces are at play that the gentleman says will drive prices down on oil to $50 a barrel and perhaps the gasoline to $2.
He said it just as if he had just returned from the board meeting, as casually as you and I are talking on Alex Jones' show, and I did not ask him for it. I had asked him where the price of gasoline was going, and he said slightly higher. And then he said, out of a clear blue sky, the price of crude oil is going to $50 a barrel.
When is he saying this is going to happen, Lindsey?
I tried to find out exactly when. He would not give me a date. I did ask him how.
Okay, well, that's key, because Bob's saying that'll happen.
How?
How is he going to do it? That's the first question I asked. I didn't ask when, because I first wanted to know how. I said, how are you going to do this? And again, just as positively as if he had had it on a sheet of paper written in front of him, he said, we're going to open up 2 major oil fields in the world that the world doesn't even know exist yet. Alex, when I give you the 2 oil fields that they plan to open up, you'll understand that this is so bizarre and so far-fetched from anything that you and I have thought of until it's literally going to blow your mind. I said, how are you going to bring this to $50 a barrel? Now, forget about America, forget about Alaska, forget about our oil fields. They have no intentions in opening up any of them. He said, we're going to open up an oil field in Indonesia, already known, already ready to go. You don't know about it. They haven't announced it to the world yet. And he said, we're going to open up one north of Russia, flood the world with cheap crude oil, bring the price to $50 a barrel.
Well,
Alex, that was 7 weeks ago, but watch this. Thursday of last week, July the 24th, 2008. Verify this with Dr. Stan when he comes on the next hour, because this will literally send cold chills up and down your spine. Mind you, this man told me this 7 weeks ago, and on Thursday of last week, Fox News came out with the headline story of 8 oil fields north of Russia, identical same spot that this man told me.
And you were saying this, what you went...
8 times bigger than Saudi Arabia, 90 billion barrels.
And you went public, a week or so before all this happened?
I went public a week before it all happened, and when Dr. Stan had me on his program last Friday, he was almost shaking. You could hear his voice on the air.
Okay, Lindsey,
saying, you were told this 7 weeks ago, and they announced it yesterday.
Okay, let me bring Bob Chapman in. Do they have the pipelines in Russia and in Indonesia to cause something like that to happen, and how do they get past there not being refinery capacity for that, Bob?
I just don't know. I don't know, but I have to assume that even if they're in operating areas, it's still going to take a while. But and we don't know when they are going to announce this, when they're going to start this, and so we have to decide, what the timing is. And
I can give you the timing if you'd like.
Pardon me?
I can give you the timing if you wish.
Oh, well, please do that.
Now, first thing he said was $50 a barrel. The second thing he said was the 2 places they're going to open them. That is going to plunge the price of crude oil all over the world for $50 a barrel. And the reason they're doing it is the next question I asked him. I said, why are you doing this? This is what will startle the world, and you can take it to the bank. The reason that Dr. Stan said on his program on Friday, he said, the reason, Lindsey, that I can believe this now is because he said, you told me this 7 weeks ago.
No, I mean, I think the question that Bob Chapman's getting at here is that you had said that he wouldn't say exactly when, but then you're saying you do know when. I mean, do you have a ballpark? What did he say specifically on that, Lindsey?
Yes, and here's what he said. When I asked him, why are you going to do this? He said, we're doing this because, okay, number one, he said, Iran is worrying us to no end. He said, Iran is becoming one of the wealthiest nations on the face of the earth. I said, are you talking about the Iranian bourse, the bank? Many countries doing business now besides the American dollar. He indicated in his way of saying it, yes. And basically, in a nutshell, here are their plans. They are going to utterly decimate the Middle East. Can you imagine crude oil being taken from $143 a barrel, where it hit at a peak, to $50 a barrel?
Well, that just won't bankrupt that just won't bankrupt the Middle East. It'll bankrupt the dollar.
Well, that's exactly, Alec. You hit the. I'm so glad you're thinking ahead of me.
It'll also make the price of gold go up too.
When the Arab world must maintain their economy. Here's a few sheikhs and sheiks over there. They were nothing but nomads roaming the deserts riding camels 100 years ago. Our oil companies went in there and made them. Now, I studied history. I had a history minor in college. About every 75 to 100 years, they will destroy one culture. They did it in the First and Second World War. They turn around and make another culture. That's exactly what they're in the process of doing right now. They are going to utterly decimate the Arab culture. The few sheikhs and sheiks will have to get rid of all of their reserve currency of American dollars overnight in order to be able to try to even maintain some semblance of economy over there, because they have a socialistic economy whereby they give the people everything from schooling to housing to medical to you name it, and all of a sudden it goes to $50 a barrel. They can't buy our T-bills anymore. They can't buy our Federal Reserve issues anymore. We have a $10 trillion national debt now plus, and what happens to the American dollar when this happens? Going through the floor overnight.
Bob, this fits in. I mean, we'll see if it happens. Lindsey's been accurate in the past, and I believe he believes what he's saying, that this fella did tell him that. But boy, that is a reckless operation if that's what they're planning. Bring down the U.S. and the Arabs. Left standing is Europe and Russia, and then move their New World Order centers to those places.
They're going to, and this is what's so startling, Alex. Oh, it scares me to even think about it. We're going to have to compete with Russia again. We're going to have another Cold War, because here, as was announced by Fox News on last Thursday, Russia now being equal with Saudi Arabian oil output, whenever they can produce 8 times more than in Saudi Arabia, 90 billion barrels of recoverable oil announced officially by the Coastal and Geodetic Service of the USGS and Fox News on last Thursday. This is going to make Russia one of the major contenders of the world, both financially, in oil. We're going to have another great Cold War. They're going to turn around, destroy the Middle East culture, utterly decimate it, and build new cultures in Indonesia and Russia. And this, to me, is so startling. I hate to even think about what could take place. Now, the CEO of ExxonMobil, and you go back up and look this up for yourself, said on May the 3rd of '08, he said, quote, crude oil should be $50 a barrel. Now, that was May the 3rd of '08. How did he know that? How did the man that called me know it? Why did they both have the identical same figure? The reason they did, because both of them know the same boardrooms behind the same closed doors, and they know exactly what it is that they plan to do. Then, oh my goodness, Alex, I hope, I don't know how to even reckon this. Then he said to me, he said, Chaplain Williams, he said, John McCain is our man. He went from, it was rather odd how he went from subject to subject, because he was very friendly and talkative with me. And he said, John McCain is our man. And at that point, oh my goodness, my mind was running so fast, and I thought to myself, what are they going to do? Now, he didn't say that they were going to bring crude oil to $50 a barrel before the election. He did not say that. I asked him, and he wouldn't admit it. He wouldn't say it. They're going to do something, I gather, just before the election to be assured that their man gets in office. And he said, whatever it takes, we will try everything possible to see to it that he gets into office. And John McCain is their man, for what it's worth. Why? And I'm not saying who I'm for or who I'm against. I'm just saying that's what the man said. Then I asked him the question, in light of all of this, $50 a barrel oil. You're going to open up these two major oil fields. These countries will become rich and great as the Arabs are today. You're going to totally decimate the Arabs. You're going to put them back into nomads roaming the deserts riding camels. You're going to change the whole world around and make Russia a great power again. I said, what can the United States of America expect at this point? And I'm going to try my best to tell you exactly what he said. He said, Lindsey, the United States of America is going to see a financial collapse that is going to be so great that it will take years for it to come out of it.